Like, this is when your brain tells you, hey, something is off here. I need to change. Your brain connects being tired with the gym. So tired equals gym, gym equals energy. But you need to connect these things together so your brain understands this is a connection, this is a habit that I want to do in order for me to get that good thing. When we have a bad habit, we need to remove the cue. We need to remove the trigger. Your habits in general are a vote for the person you're becoming. You're not lazy. You just need to have better systems. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Unbreakable Mind podcast, your podcast for faith, mindset, discipline, and many more topics. My name is Jonathan, and I'm again super excited for today's episode because we will actually follow up on last week's episode where we spoke about goal setting. If you have not watched or listened to it, check out my YouTube or of course Spotify. It doesn't matter on what platform you are right now. If you don't know the links, check out the video description or the description on Spotify. There I have put all my links of my socials as well. Actually, currently one of my social media accounts is unfortunately not hacked, but I don't have access to it. Instagram has a little bit of difficulties, let's say it like this, with fake accounts. There are many fake accounts of mine and they have reported me. Funny enough, they have blocked me, the original one, and not the fake accounts. Anyways, but all the other accounts are there. So let's not speak about that. Let's actually dive into the topic of today. You can see it already in the episode title because it is Build Habits That Stick, the 4-step method that changed my life. And actually this topic today, or what I want to speak to you guys, is based on one amazing book that I recommend you guys, which is this one here. In German, it is the 1% method, and in English, it's Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I really think it's an amazing book. I'm not affiliated towards this book or whatsoever. I think you can buy it on Amazon or wherever you're buying books. It's a bestseller, so I would assume most of the providers have this book. And I thought in the beginning it's pretty simple, right? It's pretty simple written. But if you actually read through this book, I read it already twice, I think, you will understand that actually when it comes to habits, the topic that we want to speak today, when it comes to this, it needs to be simple. It needs to be easy, because I think you can relate, most likely, because I am like this for sure in the past, and I'm still sometimes like this, that I always try to do a big change at a very quick pace. You know, I try to do everything at once, or at least I try to. When it comes to habits and routines, maybe you can relate when it's like New Year's, right? We reflect on the past year. What did we do good? What went not so good? And then we want to change a lot. We want to change new routines. We want to have new habits. And most of the time we do too much, right? We try too much at the same time. And there are also concepts like, 75 hard, 30 days, a 30-day run or 90-day run in business. And don't get me wrong, these things work, these things are good, but these are more things to really get momentum, right? To go a little bit over your limits, let's say it like this, test out your limits, especially 90-day run. Most of the people cannot really finish this one. I have done this as well. I had struggles for sure. I have never finished a 90-day run completely. Was pretty hard. 30-day runs, for example, are maybe a little bit easier, but these kind of plans are more to get like massive action in a very short period of time. But the thing is with these kind of things, if you don't have a system, if you don't really have a routine after, if you don't have habits that you can stick to even after this heavy run, let's say a 30-day run, then it's a problem, because then the momentum really, you have momentum because you have worked your butt off, let's say it like this, for 30 days, but it will decrease at a specific time, in my opinion. So you need to have these simple strategies, the simple systems you need in order to grow step by step, exponentially. And we're going to speak about this because today we speak about how to follow through with the goals using the 1% method out of the Atomic Habit book from James Clear. Again, really great book, really can recommend it. And most likely you guys have heard already about this sentence. I really love this sentence, by the way, from the book as well. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Great sentence. We spoke about it last week, right? when we spoke about goals. The goal is the base, right? We need a goal, we need a plan, we need a plan for it as well. But the goal is kind of our direction, right? It's kind of our direction. We know where the finish line is. I spoke about it last week, right? The example of the marathon. If you're running a marathon, you need to know where the finish line is, right? You need to know where the finish line is. Otherwise, you cannot really finish it because you lack direction. The system is more like, how can I do it, right? How can I train the right way? Do I maybe run in the beginning quicker, or do I have a steady pace? What kind of drinks I maybe need on my way, carbohydrates, like these kind of things is the plan. It's the system how to go there. Maybe you have a watch, like a watch that shows you how your pace is, how steady you are, right? These kind of tools help you to get there, but you need to have the goal in your head. You need to know, okay, this is the date, I want to run the marathon, there's the finish line, I have to run a specific amount of kilometers, that's it, right? And then the plan comes. But without a plan, nothing works. So that's why it's very important that you are aware of your goals based on the last episode that we spoke about. Again, if you haven't watched or listened to it, check it out. It's on my socials, and really set the right goal. But today we want to speak more about the impact of actually becoming 1% better every day. I think you saw already this diagram, right? Where you can see what difference it makes if you try to do 1% increased, 1% being better every day, compared to being 1% worse every day. And it's actually significant. It's a tiny difference. I mean, 1% of your capacity is very, very small. It's very tiny. But these tiny habits create big, big moments and big momentum in the long run, which we want to have. We don't want to have just momentum for a few days or for a few weeks and then it's declining. No, we want to have something steady, right? Of course, success loves speed, don't get me wrong, but believe me, consistency is the key, right? But I can totally understand you if, motivation fades, you have the feeling like, I cannot really stick to routines, I cannot stick to goals, I'm not achieving goals. I can totally understand you guys, because it happened to me so many times. And we are not perfect. It's a progress, right? We are learning, but we're becoming every time better and better when it comes to routines if we actually stick to these things that we're going to speak about today. It's very easily broken down. I'm not going to speak about everything in this book, obviously, right? I just can't, right? It's how many pages? 300 something. I try to summarize one topic here. But coming back to the thing with 1% better every day, it's crazy, okay? If you actually do the calculation, 1% better every day means 1.01, right? Because 1%, I was not the best in math, by the way, but 1.01 square 365. And you actually come to a conclusion that this is 37.18. So meaning, if you're getting better every day 1% for the next 365 days, you're actually becoming 37 times better than you initially were when it comes to your skills, when it comes to, overall yourself. On the other side, when you are getting 1% worse every day, that is 0.99 square 365, we are almost at zero. It is 0.03. What a massive impact, guys. And this is the thing, right? We don't have to go for, I'm going to, increase my potential within the next 30 days of 100%. No. Tiny thing. Concentrate on the day. Concentrate on the 24 hours, because this is the easy thing that you can control, and start every day new. Every day is a new start. It helped me so much because, of course, like let's say a 10-year plan, a 1-year plan, a 3-month plan, a 1-month plan, a weekly plan, all good. But the day is what we can control, right? Our yearly goal is, of course, based on our daily actions, right? So our daily actions that we do brings us closer to the yearly goal. Okay, so everything is broken down on the 24 hours in the moment that we are right now, right? So again, I want to say it again because it's such a great sentence. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So guys, again, systems are key. And coming now to the book, James Clear actually speaks about a habit loop. Okay, there's a habit loop which we have with 4 different steps. Okay, we have 4 different steps in this loop. I have it here in front of me, right? And basically, you always start with the cue, right? We always start with the cue. That is basically where we get a trigger, right? If you don't know the word, cue is basically where we get the trigger, right? The trigger, we see something, we get triggered, right? It's always like this. Then it goes to the craving, right? Follows by the response, and then we have the reward. It's always like this, right? And this is so important to understand. These four steps are simply broken down to 2 phases. We have the problem phase and we have the solution phase. So in the problem phase, this phase is basically about realizing that something needs to change. Here we really see, okay, damn, I'm not going to the gym, or in the morning I'm scrolling too much on my phone, whatever it is, you see, okay, I really see I have to change something. The craving is also in the problem phase, right? So we have the cue and the craving, as I said, in the problem phase. So we realize kind of that something needs to change. So the cue is the trigger, right? We get the trigger. The trigger doesn't always come at the beginning, but there will be a time. I always say I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like this moment you most likely had already in the past, right? Or you have it right now. You're listening to the podcast and you're like, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of doing the same thing that doesn't bring me anywhere close to my goal. So you get a trigger. You get triggered all the time. The question is, how do you respond, right? Because the craving is basically you desire change, right? It is, for example, energy, relief, focus, whatever. So your brain simply tells you in this phase, hey, Jonathan, hey, XX, your name. This is when your brain tells you, hey, something is off here. I need to change, right? And then we kind of come, after we got the cue, after like the trigger, after we got the craving, the desire within us to change. And if you don't have a desire to change, then there's a big problem, because if you're not happy with where you are, you need to be triggered. You need to be a little bit hard on yourself. Not too negative, but you get my point. And the next phase, as phase 2, the solution phase, here we actually change something. This phase is about really, we do something about it. So we have a response. Okay, this is the 3rd step. And here we act. Okay, you act in this stage, and afterwards, the reward. You feel better or get what you wanted, for example, right? So that can also be a negative thing though. So let's say, for example, negative example, sweets, right? You have, hey, I want to have sweets. I really feel like I'm sad, and maybe sweets help me, every time. Like some people are really like this. This is one negative example. And they're like, okay, when I eat sweets or chips, so like whatever, I feel better. So there's the desire to change, because energy-wise, you don't feel good if you're sad, so you want to change. So you act, you either go to the kitchen, get your sweets or chips, or you go to the store even, right? And you buy it, and then the reward is that you eat it, right? This is the bad example. But another like normal example, I think, that most of us have is coffee, right? Let's say you wake up, you get the trigger, oh, I'm so tired, right? And because you connected coffee with being tired and, getting out of the tiredness, you go to the kitchen, make yourself a coffee, you drink it, that's your reward. And because the end result is most of the time, we are not feeling tired anymore. Same thing, positive example. I wouldn't say coffee is negative or positive, right? But let's say you feel tired, same example. We're gonna go over this a little bit later too, but you feel tired, you're like, okay, let's go to the gym. You hit the gym, afterwards you feel awake, this is like your reward. And what happens then in our brain, which is so amazing, your brain connects being tired with the gym. So tired equals gym, gym equals energy, right? If you can get this is also part of the book, how you can actually connect something that you feel like don't do with a positive thing, right? So for example, again, I don't want to be on this point too much, but let's say you really like food like me. So you can say, okay, I really feel hungry, but before I go to the gym, come back, and every time when you go to the gym or come from the gym, you can get something from the bakery, or you actually have something at home that you made that you really like, and you can eat it. So your brain step by step connects. If I go to the gym, if I'm going hard there, I come back and I deserve food, right? So you actually connect something that you maybe don't want to do. For some people, gym is passion. For some people, they kind of like it, but sometimes there's the thing that we don't want to go there, right? Or running or whatever. But you need to connect these things together so your brain understands this is a connection, this is a habit that I want to do in order for me to get the good thing. So you kind of, manipulate your brain and tell them, hey, you get this, but you need to do first this. So that is really, really great learning from the book. But let's actually go to, because I don't want to do this too long. We're already almost 20 minutes in this session, and I know I want to keep it a little bit more short. But let's actually speak about the 4 laws of behavior change that James Clear also said or mentioned in the book. Because when it comes to this behavior changes, these habits, if you actually want to change your habits, there are 4 things that really are interesting or most important to do, right? So the law number 1 that James Clear said is you need to make it obvious, right? You need to make it obvious. So let's say an environment setup, habit stacking, right? He also speaks about a habit scorecard in his book. So if you want to learn more about this habit scorecard and how he basically measures this is also very good learning. But in general, you need to make it obvious. I will make an example for that as well. It needs to be in front of your eyes, right? Environmental things can do that as well, right? But I will tell you after what I actually mean with this with a real-time example. Law number 2 is make it attractive, right? It needs to be tempting. It needs to be like tension bundling, like we just said. It can also be like joining a motivating community, or you have something that is really attractive, that you really feel like, okay, that's actually cool. Joining a motivating community can be part of it. Law number 3, and that is one of the most important things, make it easy. Habits needs to be easy. The moment when a habit is not easy, you will have problems, right? It can be in the beginning, we said, start small, a 2-minute routine. Like you need to be able to put it in your day. Doesn't matter how stressful it is, because I know sometimes when you are, having job, business, whatever, can be tricky, but a 2-minute routine everybody can do. Reduce friction in general and automate what you can. Automation is key. So everything what you can automate when it comes to habits is great, right? So for example, I always have an example in finance, for example. If this is another thing that we can speak about maybe in another episode. But when it comes to finance and you want to manage your finances very good, then I would recommend you, for example, to have a system or like different bank accounts where you can do automated payments. So for example, you want to have a safety fund, right? Every month you can send from your main account where you get your main money from your job or your business. You can automate every time, like let's say 5th of the month, you send 500 euros to this security fund. It's going automated out of your account, so you don't have to do it manually. You don't even think about it. That's a good example for make it easy when it comes to financial habits. Law number 4, make it satisfying. You can, for example, use a habit app, right, where you track your habits. So yeah, you kind of have like this endorphin that comes out because, you feel good if you track it and you're like, okay, check, I have it. That's good. You have immediate reward, right? So this is really good, like an immediate reward connected to this. So your brain, as I mentioned before, connects, like, let's say a hard thing for you, the habit, with a positive reward. And never, this is another thing, never ever miss a habit twice, okay? Because it will happen that you will miss it, okay? Let's be honest with each other. You will have habits that you will miss. The thing is, as soon as you miss something twice, you will be in big trouble. And the book also speaks about it. Again, missing it once, don't be hard on yourself, can happen, but never ever miss it twice in a row, because then the thing is, it's becoming actually a habit to not do it. So it's very important. Let's actually go there, because this is the thing that I want to talk about. Let's actually find an example. So how to actually build a good habit based on what I just mentioned. Let's say, for example, your habit is reading this book, because I mentioned it makes sense to order this, right? Atomic Habits, 1% method for the Germans. We want to start reading every day. Number one step is make it obvious. So what can we do to make it obvious to read? Let's say, for example, you have your bed, right? And you put your book, right? Because that is not like a phone that you shouldn't, like your phone, you shouldn't put next to your head, okay, when you sleep. But a book doesn't have radioactive whatever waves. So put it next to you, next to your pillow, for example. And so you actually see it, put it before you go to bed. You actually see it when you go to bed. So this is kind of like the last thing that you see, right? So that makes it visible. Doesn't matter if you want to read in the morning or in the evening, but if it's already there, if you put it in the morning, right? After you woke up, after you made your bed, you put your book on the pillow, then you can see it if you come in your room in the evening, let's say. I like, for example, to read in the evening, because reading my book also makes me more tired. If I'm on my phone, for example, that is a little bit of the opposite. So make it obvious. Put the book on your pillow. I know it's an easy thing, but this is to make it obvious. Number two, right? So we spoke about cue, make it obvious, the trigger. Now we have to crave it, craving. Number two. You make it attractive, right? We just spoke about it. And this is what I meant. You have to bundle it now with something that you like. For example, simple example, I got some fresh tea, for example, from Turkey, right? I really like this one. I really enjoy it. And you could bundle this. You can say, hey, if I read in the evening, I can also make my favorite tea. It can be something other exciting, but I really like it. So always when I read, I'm sipping my tea. That could be something attractive. So this connects basically the habit with a pleasant experience. Number three, make it easy, right? Make it easy. What do I mean with it? Because we need the response part. That could be start with 2 pages a day. That's very easy. We talked about this 2-minute routine. Don't aim for 30 pages because sometimes we have a busy day. We cannot make it happen. But I really believe 2 pages a day, even though you think that's, yeah, that's easy. Well, do it. Okay, do it every day, 2 pages. Start with it. If you feel like, okay, 2 pages is way too little, make it more. But it needs to be easy. If you see, okay, well, now I went to 10 pages. Oh, I don't really can make it every day. Go down. It needs to be very easy, right? So it removes really the pressure and lower resistance, basically, right? It lowers the resistance. It removes the pressure for you personally. And last but not least, make it satisfying, the reward. So in this case, you can use a habit tracker or a journal and check it off daily. So as soon as you read, you can check it off. So that gives you like this mini dopamine hit from completing this task. So it makes it more satisfying. But now we actually speak about, like this is an example here, but now we speak about bad habits. This is just to have a new habit. But there's also the possibility that also is stated in the book to break bad habits, right? And this is kind of the reverse law, right? We have to reverse each law that we spoke about how to make a good habit. So we spoke about it needs to be visible, right? Now it needs to be invisible, right? So when we have a bad habit, we need to remove the cue. We need to remove the trigger, right? Speaking about an example in a bit. Second, we spoke about with good habits that needs to be attractive. So in this case, if we want to break a habit, it needs to be unattractive. So reframe the craving, okay? You need to try to reframe the craving. Then number 3, we said when we make a good goal, or we want to have a new habit, it needs to be easy. In this case, it needs to be difficult, right? So add friction. And last but not least, it needs to be unsatisfying, because a normal goal, like when we want to make a new goal, needs to be satisfying. Here, it needs to be unsatisfying, so the reverse law. So in this case, accountability, for example, or any consequences can help here a lot. So let's have this on a real example. It can be scrolling through Instagram, or let's say, because I love food, late night snacking. We all know late night snacking is not really good for your body because then you don't have good sleep. Why? Again, another topic. If you eat late, then your body has to digest. So your body cannot really rest. So you don't have a good rest when you wake up. Right? Different qualities of sleep. So we kind of don't have this habit anymore, right? Late night snacking. So about making it invisible, because that's the trigger, that's a cue in the first step. In general, that is very easy. Just don't keep snacks in visible places. If you have snacks at home, put them far away. Put them somewhere where you don't see them, so don't have them very obvious, or like not on your kitchen counter, for example, somewhere else, somewhere hard to get. So maybe you put it, if you have something outside of the house, you put it there, if you really crave it, because then you need to go outside, get it, so that, it's kind of invisible. Or don't buy them at all, right? Don't buy them at all. That's actually a good tip, by the way, because I know some households always have sweets, chips, these kind of things. If you don't have them, you know the situation. I had them many times. I was craving something, then it was not there, right? So if I would like to have it, I would have kind of need to drive to the store, and that's another, or it's not an easy thing, where we come to the next point. But again, why? Because you don't see the trigger, you're less likely to act on it, right? Number 2, make it unattractive. In this case, change in general how you view the snack, right? If we see the snack as a positive thing, well, that's not good. You can say, let's say, instead of I deserve this snack, you can say, this is stealing my energy and it's kind of slowing my progress of coming closer to where I want, right? So you kind of shift the internal story, so you make it something you don't want to be associated with. You make it negative. Number 3, make it difficult. So the response, you can say, for example, only allow snacking if you cook something from scratch. So if you really cook something, for example, then you can snack. Because let's say in the evening, if you're really too tired to cook, for example, you will probably skip it, right? That's, let's say, for meals that you have to cook. Chips, of course, you just need to open them. But I think you understand, right? So add friction, make it harder. If it takes effort, the behavior becomes way less likely. Same thing, again, if we don't have the snacks at home, as I said already, if we have to drive to the store in the evening, if we're tired, we maybe don't do it, right? Of course we can, but there is this barrier that we have to go over, and then it's a decision. And last but not least, make it unsatisfying, and here comes maybe a friend actually in. Take a friend, for example, every time you snack late, text this person and admit it, be honest, right? Have like an accountability partner, maybe have like, with your best friend, you have a WhatsApp group, whatever you use, and then hey, I admit I have the snack. And maybe you can also create something like a snack tax, right? I think the first thing is already, if you actually committed to another person and then you have to admit that you fucked up, let's say, it's already negative. But let's say you have to pay, you have the snack tax, right? So every time you slip, you donate, let's say 10 euros or 20 euros, something that hurts, right? I know 10 euros for some of you is maybe not a lot, but every time you snack, then you maybe have to think, I snack 10 times, it's already 100 euros. Well, maybe I don't do it. So you need immediate accountability to make it kind of uncomfortable. So yeah, that's the power of consequences, I would say. This is basically what I want to talk to you guys. I think that is already enough. I have some more points, but maybe we put this in another episode. But again, the reminder, guys, your habits in general are a vote for the person you are becoming. And I think that is so important. In general, guys, you need to understand you're not lazy. When you say yourself you're lazy, no, you're not. You're not lazy. You just need to have better systems in place, right? And it's so easy, actually. If you read this book, again, we can also speak about this in other podcast episodes, but so easy. If you want to, I do one more example that really suits to me. For example, I'm working a lot. And for example, my brain is connecting my room, my sleeping room where my bed is, with being tired, right? So always, maybe you have it as well. If you work in your bedroom, you're kind of tired. You're not really working as good as you could. If I go to another room, which is simply an office, right? I know not everybody has the chance to only have an office because that's mostly connected to your bedroom. But if you have the chance to work somewhere else than in your bedroom, do it, because most of the time your brain connects your room with being tired. So again, that's the thing, right? Yeah, question is, what's one habit you will commit to this week? Maybe put it down below in the video description. I'm excited for your comments, and yeah, follow me on Instagram. Again, my Instagram right now is not available. It's very funny, to be honest. A fake account of mine reported me and I got kicked out of my Instagram. Let's see if I can get it back, but in case you watch this a little bit later, and I hope I have it back, Jonas Zwickler is my Instagram, the Unbreakable Mind Podcast on Instagram only for this one here. I will also post there very soon as well. Other than that, these are my channels, YouTube, you can check out in the video description. share this episode with someone that really needs this, because I think you can learn a lot. And again, I'm really excited for your feedback. We hear each other next week in the next episode. And yeah, over and out. Thanks so much, guys.